Hello everyone, welcome to our Wednesday Q&A. This is a pre-recorded Q&A, so no live questions today. For those of you who don't know or tuning in for the first time, we usually do this live. We take your questions that you email to us, questions@itmtrading.com, and then we put them up on the screen here. We ask them live so you get a real, true, organic response. So, Mike G asks, what is coming in 2023 that makes 2022 such a pivotal year for getting your assets protected? In your opinion?
Yes, well, because I've been saying that 2022, in my opinion, is a pivotal year because 2023 is supposed to be the year when 610 trillion notional value in contracts, most of those derivatives that are supposed to be converted from the LIBOR interest rate benchmark to the new SOFR interest rate benchmark. And the problem is, number one, it's a great big experiment. They've never done this before, and certainly not at this magnitude. And this is also a forced restructuring because the market didn't adopt the SOFR the way that the feds wanted them to. And the reason is because it doesn't really work properly. So it doesn't really, it masks a lot of risk where we've seen, LIBOR jump during crisis. So far, flat lines. So, we've got 610 trillion notional, and you're hearing me say notional, which means who knows how much is at risk? Nobody. And seriously, nobody knows what's at risk. Not the IMF, not the BIS, not the Fed, not the FDIC, not the OCC, not the ASDI. Nobody knows how much is really at risk. But hey, we're going to transfer all of them from this because you found out that this interest rate was just an opinion to this, which they say is a market driven index, but it's not because they eliminate a whole lot of bonds from going through it, which is why it doesn't respond properly in crisis. So, this is a very pivotal year. I think this is the last year that you really have to really fully get into position while you still can.
Okay, so Ruby R asks, why are pre-1933 gold coins not acceptable for precious metals IRA if proof bullion coins are acceptable? Since bullion is what was confiscated in 1933, I don't understand and just want to learn more.
That's a great question, and I had that same question. And maybe it is because it is in a completely different category. And it is. It's in a collectible category, whereas the kind of gold that you could put in your IRA is in a monetary gold category. Give me the collectible category. Because didn't we were recently talking to one of our wholesalers who said at the shows, at the auction houses, that the higher end coins were fetching a whole lot more that they anticipated.
And a lot more demand,
A lot more demand. And before we had that conversation, there was that article from China saying that the very wealthy that typically would invest in real estate, having pulled their money, were now investing in collectibles like Rolexes, gold, coins, other things like that. And then I'm talking to, and some of you may have heard this, but I was talking to an antique dealer friend of mine, very high end, so museum quality, high end. He just finished a show over the weekend, and he said it was the best show he's ever had in 25 years. So what does that tell you? That tells you the big money is getting to hard assets to protect their wealth.
Yep, it does.
So that's exactly what it tells you. And you guys all know, if you've been watching me long enough, I'm sure you've heard me say that you always want to do for yourself what the smartest guys on any given topic are doing for themselves. What am I doing? I'm buying gold. I'm buying silver. And a few antiques and some other things. But all hard assets, all of them. And most of them, by a wide margin, with gold as a component of them. Because that's the monetary metal.
So I'm going to hold your feet to the fire, though.
Go ahead.
Because you didn't answer the question.
What was it? Why pre are not acceptable? I think because they're in a different category. And that's why I choose the pre-33s. And that's a really good question because it's not like they aren't the same gold content and the same weight as the American Eagles, the new stuff, but yet it's in a different classification. Why? I don't know. You think maybe Treasury Secretary Wooden had something to do with that? Because that's who was the Secretary Treasurer, or whatever. I'm all fired up today. I'm sorry. During the confiscation back in 33. And he knew darn well what was going to happen to the currency system. And he wanted to keep his gold and continue to accumulate. And he didn't want any oversight on it. So he created that area.
So do you think, though, then proof, and the only proof bullion that's acceptable in an IRA are the ones that are, Eagles, and they have to have their certifications, and they have to be in their original paperwork and the whole thing. Like, it can't just be loose, and they can't be graded. It can't be graded proof. It has to be original from the U.S. Mint, because that is considered a collectible form of, sort of modern collectible bullion.
Collectible, right.
So do you think that that gives a layer of protection against confiscation if there was some?
Maybe. And that's all I can say, maybe. Do I think absolutely? Look, governments can do any darn thing they want as long as the population allows them to do it. And so I can't say that for sure. But yes, I think that it's that different, it gives them a layer. But can I guarantee it? No, I can't guarantee anything because it's not within my control.
Okay. Amy M. asks.
Okay.
Lynette speaks about Venezuela and the struggles that they are experiencing with inflation. How does the U.S. current inflation trends compare to the Venezuelan inflation trends when everything began to hit the fan? So, like, back when it just started with Venezuela, do you know the answer to that?
What I know is it always starts out kind of slowly, and then it starts to speed up, but still kind of slowly, and then all of a sudden it's fast. So I think definitely we are paralleling with their experience. Also, what they do is they suppress the price of gold, which of course, our government's been doing that. Central banks have been doing that for a long time. But then they lose control of that in the black market. And then ultimately, when they do their first overnight reset, they do it against gold. So I see a lot of parallels, and I do believe we've already begun.
Like phase one.
Oh, most definitely. Most definitely.
Okay, so Fred J., I thought this question was interesting. So Fred J. says, we have almost all the components of your 12-part wealth shield in place.
Good for you, Fred. Thank you. Good for you.
We need only a piece of land as a last stand property. Is it advisable to take out a mortgage on a home that I've already paid off in order to purchase land that will serve as a shelter part of my plan, or of your plan?
Well, as long, I'm never really a big advocate of taking on debt in this environment. As long as you have enough gold to pay off that fixed rate debt, boom, just like that, then it might be okay. But you hear me struggle because I can't really give you a blanket answer to that. I'd really need to see everything.
Right, but you also have debt on your home.
I do, right? And actually, not much, but yes, I did, and I did do that because I thought I was going to be able to get a mortgage on my bug out house.
Right.
But it was such a unique property, I couldn't have had to pay cash on it.
Right.
But yes, I do have a mortgage.
And you also have that mortgage in lieu of, you could have paid off the house, but you wanted that bug out property. So in a sense, you almost did take out a mortgage on yours to get the other one. In a sense, not literally, but
literally, but yes, I would say that would be accurate.
Right.
Yes, I did choose to keep that debt because it's a fixed rate debt, and because I have enough gold. If I wanted to pay it off or more, if I needed to pay that off in a heartbeat, because that's really what's going to happen. It's not a question of wanting to or not wanting to. It's more a question of, as we go through this hyperinflation and with what happens to mortgages, we're going to get to a point where if you cannot pay off your mortgage, then they have you by the cojones, and it's not in your best interest, whatever the changes are that they make. And I don't want to be in that position. So I have plenty of gold that if I wanted to pay my mortgage off this second, I could do it in a heartbeat. And so in that case, yes, as long as you can do that, that's part of the gold strategy.
And so when she says that too, I want to give you guys a little bit more clarification that it's not necessarily the gold price now, right? That do I have enough gold at the gold price now to pay off my mortgage? It's during a hyperinflationary event when gold accelerates up into value. So,
well, in terms of fiat,
right.
Not really in terms of value because it's really like an insurance contract, but in terms of the dollar in this country.
Right. So if gold's $2,000 today and your mortgage is $100,000, well, that mortgage still stays the same while the price of gold runs up during hyperinflation, and it might get to where it's 2 ounces is 100 ounces 50,000,
right?
And so now you need 2 ounces to pay off that mortgage.
Yeah, because a few months ago or a little while ago, didn't we do that recalculation on the? Yeah. It was a loosey goosey, but it was still like.
But I couldn't
point
to what video that was.
I couldn't tell you which video, but I think it wasn't it about $50,000 for an ounce of gold?
I'm not following which part.
The fundamental value.
Yes. Well, that was conservative.
That was conservative, right?
I forget what we figured it out that we did the math on it, but it was like 69,000 or something like that.
It was something like that. It was something like that, right? And it's just being suppressed from its true value because a rising gold price is an indication of a failing currency. But ultimately, to get the public trust and confidence back, I mean, that's what gold is really about. And right now, you need to be as safe as possible. And that's gold and silver physical in your possession, in my opinion, pre-33s, are the safest thing that you can possibly do.
Definitely the safest. Manuel C. asks, this must have been perfectly placed right after, how do I exactly pay off my mortgage when the reset occurs? Let's say I have enough gold at home to pay off a $100,000 balance.
Well, exactly, 100% of the time you could always convert your gold into any of the current currency, wherever you are in the whole world. So that's how you do it. And if you're working with us at ITM, well, we have the network built. So you would simply turn back in your gold, we'd convert it into whatever the current currency is, whether it's dollars or digital dollars, and then you'd pay off your mortgage. Easy peasy.
Easy. Well, we're not live today, so I can't take any live questions.
Oh,
so
okay.
That's it for today. We've answered them all.
Okay. Well, there you go. But remember that you really want to be as safe and secure as possible, and part of what you can do to do that, buy your gold and your silver, food, water, energy, security, community, and shelter, and listen to us on any of our podcasts and, in any of the major podcast platforms. And if you like this, please give us a thumbs up. Make sure that you leave a comment and share. It's critically important that people know what's going on. It's the only way that they can make educated choices, because ignorance doesn't make you immune. It just leaves you vulnerable. And personally, that's why I'm so fired up, because that's not okay with me.
Mm-hmm.
So until next we meet, please be safe out there. Bye-bye.